It's just like those are the kind of things, like being woken up at 4 a.m., being dragged in, being thrown in the pool, and then basically being told you guys are useless and you can't get anything right, and then go home, That it's just like things like that, where incidents like that were regular occurrences at the Int base. And
it's like hazing, but worse. It's being done by a church that says that they're religion, that gets tax-exempt status, that presents themselves as the alternative to psychiatry, that says that they are going to help us all and all of mankind. You're right. This is really sick.
Yeah, there's a story on the internet, and if you Google musical chairs Int base, it is a tear-jerking story of something that Dave put several hundred staff through, and basically threatened them to split them up from their spouses. And it's too long of a story to tell right now, but somebody did write it up, and it is on the internet. If you Google musical chairs Int base, you can read the whole thing. It's insane. But even during that time, people were made, as punishment, people were made to sleep under their desks for weeks on end until certain achievements or milestones were met. And until those were met, that's it. You literally, when the day was over, you went to sleep under your desk. And then you got up in the morning, you went and took a shower in the garage, the estates facility there, and you never went home. And if your wife was in a different area of the church than you, then you didn't see her because you were sleeping under your desk, and that's just the way it was. And that's another thing that sometimes he would even forget that he had ordered people that they were restricted to the property and they couldn't go home. And months later, somebody would say, well, I'm not going to go home anyway. And he would be like, well, why not? He'd be like, sir, we've been restricted to the base for 3 months now. And it would literally be like, oh, that was only meant for like a day or two. And this is like 4 months later. You've been sleeping under your desk for 4 months. So, there's a lot of, and the thing that's happening right now is, in 1990, when I arrived to Golden Era Productions, there was 1,200 staff that worked at that facility. It's a fairly sprawling complex. It's actually over 500 acres, and there's several international management organizations that exist there besides Golden Era Productions. That's also where Religious Technology Center is located, which is the organization that Dave Miscavige is the chairman of the board of. And there's also about 4 or 5 other church organizations that are housed there. Well, as of 2007, there was about 400 people left that work at that facility. And those 400 people are still being demanded to do the work of the 1,200 people that were there in the early 90s. So,
have you talked to anyone, Mark, who's still in there? Do you have any contact with anyone that's still in the church, or not much?
Well, actually, what ends up happening is when these people leave, they get on the internet, and ultimately I'm able to find them or meet up with them. And in a lot of cases, I've actually helped people out, gotten them jobs, gotten them situated. Because you got to dig. When you leave the international base, besides losing all contact with your family and friends and basically anybody that you know in your life, you have no money. You have no credit. Most staff that work there do not even have a driver's license. There's no reason for you to drive anywhere. You work, you live there, you work there, you never leave. So when a person like that leaves, it's very hard for them to get on their feet. And I have talked to people, and like I talked to a guy a few months back who had left about a year ago, and he said that when I left, we thought, it could never get any worse. And that's always what you think. Every year that would go by, you know what, at least it can't get any worse. It can only get better from here because this is the lowest of the low that we could possibly experience. And he said that from 2005 till 2007, it got markedly worse. So it's literally one of those things that when you're there, you think, it's got to get better. It just can't go on like this forever. And I started thinking that in probably the year 2000. I thought, you know what, it's got to get better. It just can't keep going like this. Until in 2005, I realized it's never going to get better. It's only going to get worse. And all of these things that are being done. I mean, when you're there, you're there to help people. And the whole reason that you're there, that anyone is there in Scientology or in the Sea organization, is because they have a internal urge to help other people. That's it. So when you see all these things happening and people being treated like this, it totally goes against the grain of what you're there for. And sooner or later, I think a lot of these people are just gonna leave, and more and more of these stories will come out.